If you're over 60, there's a daily habit that might seem harmless and helpful, but could quietly be raising your risk of stroke while you sleep. No warning, no pain. One moment, you're relaxing in your chair or enjoying a quiet conversation, and the next, your speech is slurred, your arm won't lift, or your balance is suddenly gone. As a neurologist, I've seen this exact moment unfold far too often, and not just in people with poor diets or sedentary lifestyles. Many times, it's older adults who believe they're doing everything right. They don't smoke, they don't drink excessively, and they follow doctor's orders. What they don't realize is that the very supplements they take each day, vitamins meant to protect the brain and body, can sometimes backfire, especially when taken in large doses or at the wrong time. Some of these common vitamins can raise blood pressure, disturb your brain's delicate chemistry, or increase the risk of bleeding all while you sleep, when the body is least equipped to compensate. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 9 vitamins that may be doing more harm than good and show you safer, smarter alternatives that can truly support your brain as you age. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Vitamin D, the bone protector that can quietly lead to stroke while you sleep. You've likely heard it countless times. Vitamin D is essential for strong bones, especially as you age. Doctors recommend it, wellness articles praise it, and supplement bottles practically scream it from the shelves. And in the right dose, yes, it is important. Vitamin D plays a vital role in helping your body absorb calcium and maintain bone health. But what most older adults don't realize is that too much vitamin D, particularly when taken at the wrong time of day, can quietly put your life in danger. As a neurologist, I've seen this play out more than once, and one case still stays with me. Harriet Langston was 75 when I met her. A retired school counselor from Colorado, she lived alone but was fiercely independent. She cooked healthy meals, stayed active with gentle yoga, and took her supplements each morning without fail. One of those was a 10,000 IU capsule of vitamin D. Harriet had picked it up at her local health store after a friend recommended it for joint pain. The label said, supports bone health and immunity. It seemed like a smart Movino prescription needed, no warning labels. She took it every morning for over a year. Then, one day, everything changed. Her daughter found her seated at the kitchen table, disoriented and unable to lift her left hand. Harriet couldn't speak clearly, and her face was slack on one side. She had suffered a strokeon more serious than most. When we ran her labs, the picture became clearer and more alarming. Her blood calcium levels were abnormally high. Her arteries showed signs of hardening, and her blood pressure had spiked overnight. What caused it? Vitamin D toxicity. You see, vitamin D doesn't just help your body absorb calcium. When taken in excess, especially more than 4,000 IU per day, it can overload your system with calcium. That calcium doesn't just strengthen bones. Instead, it leaks into your bloodstream, where it can settle into your arteries, making them stiff and narrow. Over time, this silent buildup creates the perfect conditions for a stroke. Fragile blood vessels, reduced circulation, and sudden spikes in pressure. And here's the twist. Most people miss vitamin D is fat-soluble. That means it stores in your body's tissues, accumulating quietly over time. It doesn't flush out like vitamin C or B vitamins. The result? Your risk rises slowly, invisibly. Most over-the-counter vitamin D supplements come in doses of 5,000 or even 10,000 IU per capsule. But for seniors, the recommended daily intake is typically 600 to 800 IU, unless a deficiency has been confirmed by a doctor with blood work. And timing matters too. Many older adults take vitamin D at night, so they don't forget. But that's exactly when your blood pressure naturally fluctuates and your body is more vulnerable to calcium-related complications. If your arteries are already aging, that evening pill could push your system over the edge while you sleep. That's what happened to Harriet. Her case wasn't about carelessness. It was about doing what she thought was right, just like so many others. She survived the stroke, thankfully, but the road to recovery hasn't been easy. She now uses a walker and relies on speech therapy to communicate clearly. She told me something I'll never forget. "I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't know a vitamin could do this. And oh, so here's my message, especially if you're over 60 and managing your health carefully. Don't take high doses of vitamin D unless your doctor has specifically told you to based on your lab results. And always take it in the morning, with food, not before bed. Because more isn't better. Especially when it comes to fat-soluble vitamins. In fact, more can be dangerous. And if vitamin D something sold as bone-healthy and heart-supportive can harden arteries and trigger strokes, what about the next so-called heart vitamin? The one that can actually cause your brain to bleed if taken the wrong way. Let's talk about vitamin E. This one you truly need to hear. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now, let's keep going with point number 2. 2. Vitamin E, the heart helper that could quietly trigger a brain bleed. For years, vitamin E has held a glowing reputation, promoted as a heart-protective antioxidant and anti-aging powerhouse. You've probably read about it in magazines or seen it on supplement bottles claiming to support circulation, memory, even skin health. For many older adults, it sounds like a smart, natural choice. But here's what almost no one talks about. The same vitamin that's advertised to protect your heart can, in high doses, quietly lead to a life-altering brain bleed. Let me tell you about one of my former patients. Her name was Linda Carver, a 79-year-old retired art teacher from Arizona. She had a bright, creative spirit and still hosted painting classes at her church twice a week. Linda was sharp, thoughtful, and like many seniors, deeply proactive about her health. Every morning she followed a careful routine: green tea, a light walk, and a natural vitamin E supplement, 800 IU daily. She wasn't careless. She wasn't trying to take shortcuts. She genuinely believed she was helping her heart, keeping her memory sharp, and aging gracefully. What she didn't realize was that she was quietly stepping into danger. You see, Linda had atrial fibrillation, common heart rhythm condition that increases stroke risk. To prevent clots, she was prescribed warfarin, a blood thinner. Her cardiologist monitored her INR levels regularly, and everything had been stable for years. But once she added high-dose vitamin E, without mentioning it to her doctor, things began to unravel. One evening, Linda developed a throbbing headache. Her daughter, who happened to be visiting, noticed she was struggling to form sentences. Minutes later, she became nauseous and collapsed. They rushed her to the emergency room. A brain scan revealed something terrifying: a hemorrhagic stroke caused by bleeding in the brain. It wasn't from a fall. It wasn't from high blood pressure. It was because her blood had become too thin to clot. Here's what most people don't know. In large doses, vitamin E acts as a natural blood thinner. It reduces the blood's ability to clot, similar to how medications like aspirin or Plavix work. Now imagine combining that with a prescribed anticoagulant like warfarin. You think you're helping your heart, but you're actually creating a dangerous imbalance, and the tiny, delicate vessels in your brain are the most vulnerable. This kind of mistake is more common than you think. Many over-the-counter vitamin E supplements contain 200, 400, even 1,000 IU per capsule. Yet the recommended daily amount for older adults is just 15 milligrams, roughly 22 IU. Linda had been taking more than 35 times that every single day, thinking it was helping her. She survived the stroke, but her recovery was long and painful. She now uses a walker. Her short-term memory isn't what it used to be. The woman who once painted vibrant sunsets now struggles to recall the names of colors. At one of our follow-ups, she said quietly, "I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't know I was making my brain bleed." That's the part that cuts the deepest, the intention behind the mistake. Like so many others, Linda wasn't acting out of recklessness. She was acting out of hope. She believed in vitamins, in prevention, in being her own advocate. But without real guidance, even well-meaning choices can turn dangerous. So if you're over 60 and taking blood thinners, whether warfarin, aspirin, or something else, please talk to your doctor before adding vitamin E, especially in high doses. Even if the bottle says natural or heart healthy, that doesn't mean it's right for your body. And remember, a brain bleed isn't like a typical stroke caused by a clot. It's often more severe, harder to treat, and less reversible. Sometimes there are no second chances. If vitamin E, something so widely praised, can quietly trigger a hemorrhage, what about the so-called brain-boosting vitamins on the shelf at your local pharmacy? The ones that promise mental clarity and nerve support? There's one in particular I need to warn you about. It's found in many energy pills and multivitamins. And when taken in high doses, it doesn't sharpen your mind, it damages your nerves. Let's talk about vitamin B6. What you're about to hear might truly surprise you. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now, let's keep going with point number 3. 3. Vitamin B6, the nerve support that can quietly destroy your nervous system. We tend to chalk up tingling feet, numb fingers, or sudden stumbles as just part of getting older. And yes, aging does make our nerves more vulnerable. But what if the very supplement marketed to protect your nerves is the hidden reason they're failing? Vitamin B6 is everywhere. Walk into any pharmacy, scroll through online wellness shops, and you'll see it branded as nerve health, brain energy, or memory support. It's a staple in formulas for circulation, neuropathy, even sleep. But here's what no one puts on the label. When taken in high doses, vitamin B6 doesn't help your nerves, it can slowly poison them. Take Robert Mayfield, a 78-year-old former school bus driver from rural Idaho. A gentle, steady man who spent his retirement years helping his grandkids with homework and growing tomatoes in his backyard. After retiring, Robert wanted to stay sharp, stay strong. A friend at his church recommended a supplement he'd seen online, NeuroBoost Essentials. The bottle claimed it supported memory, energy, and nerve repair. Robert didn't hesitate. He took 2 tablets every morning for over a year. Each one packed 100 milligrams of B6. It started subtly. He noticed a strange buzzing in his feet, a bit of trouble buttoning his shirt. He brushed it off, probably arthritis, he thought. But then he began to stumble while walking, sometimes with no warning. The final straw came when he fell while bringing groceries in from the car and hit his shoulder hard. When Robert came into my clinic, he was confused. His blood pressure was fine. His blood sugar, normal. His reflexes were slow, but his labs didn't show anything obvious. That's when I asked about his supplements. And the moment I saw the bottle, I knew. He was consuming 200 milligrams of B6 every single day, 10 times more than what's considered safe for older adults. The tolerable upper limit, just 20 milligrams, including what you get from food. What many don't realize is that vitamin B6 is not like vitamin C. It doesn't leave your body easily. It builds up. And when levels get too high, it begins eroding the protective sheathing around your nerves. Think of it like stripping the insulation from a wire. Signals get weaker, they short circuit, and over time, the nerve stops responding altogether. That's what happened to Robert. We immediately stopped the supplement, and over time, the damage slowed, but it didn't reverse. He now walks with a cane and has trouble picking up coins or turning doorknobs. He told me quietly one day, "I thought I was helping my memory. I didn't know I was damaging everything else." He's not alone. Many seniors unknowingly overdose on B6 because the packaging looks trustworthy. It says, "Doctor formulated, all natural, safe for daily use." But unlike prescription medication, supplements don't have strict dose limits. Some capsules contain 100, 200, even 300 milligrams of B6, often combined with other stimulants or vitamins that compound the effect. And the scariest part? The damage doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in, a little tingling, a shaky step, a moment of weakness. And by the time you connect the dots, the damage is often permanent. So here's what I want every older adult to remember. Just because it's on the shelf doesn't mean it's safe. Read every label. Add up the daily total. If your supplement includes more than 20 milligrams of B6, especially if it's taken with other nerve or memory formula stock to your doctor, don't wait for symptoms to appear. Don't let your good intentions backfire. Because the truth is, protecting your nerves isn't about taking more. It's about taking the right things at the right amount for the right reasons. And if you think that's frightening, just wait until you hear about a vitamin that mimics the pressure of a brain tumor. It's supposed to support your eyes, but in high doses it can cause headaches, blurred vision, and even irreversible damage to your optic nerve. Yes, I'm talking about vitamin A. Let's talk about that next. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now, let's move on to point number 4. 4. Vitamin A, the eye health supplement that can build pressure inside your brain. If you're over 60, chances are someone, maybe a doctor, a friend, or a health ad has told you to take vitamin A for your eyes, your immune system, or just to age gracefully. It's everywhere. Vision support, immune shield, age, defying blend. On the surface, it seems like a smart choice. A simple capsule, a daily ritual to protect your health. But what if I told you that too much vitamin A doesn't just affect your eyesight? It can slowly raise pressure inside your skull, mimicking a brain tumor, and in some cases permanently damage your vision and brain. This isn't a theory. I've seen it happen firsthand. Margaret Ellis was 77 when she came to see me. A retired art history professor from New Mexico, she was graceful, articulate, and still taught local seniors how to paint landscapes at the community center. Margaret had always been proactive about her health. She avoided processed foods, walked every morning, and took a daily supplement she'd ordered after watching a television segment on radiant aging. It contained 10,000 IU of vitamin A, marketed as a beauty and eye health enhancer. She took it faithfully for nearly 5 years. The symptoms crept in slowly. It began with dull headaches, nothing alarming. Then came blurry vision, which she blamed on age. But when she started getting dizzy spells and struggled to focus her eyes on the pages of her favorite novel, she knew something was wrong. One morning during a phone call with her sister, her speech briefly slurred. Fearing a stroke, her family rushed her to the ER. But the scans showed no clot, no bleed. Instead, what we found was elevated intracranial pressure fluid buildup inside her skull, compressing her brain and optic nerves. The diagnosis: pseudotumor cerebri, a condition that mimics a brain tumor. The cause: chronic vitamin A toxicity. Here's what most seniors don't realize. Vitamin A is fat-soluble. That means it doesn't flush out of your system like water-soluble vitamins, such as B or C. It stays in your liver, your fat tissue, and, yes, your brain. And as we age, our ability to clear vitamin A declines. Combine that with medications that affect liver function, and the risk multiplies. In Margaret's case, the 10,000 IU she took daily combined with what she already consumed through food and a multivitamin was over 3 times the recommended safe upper limit of around 3,000 IU for older adults. And she didn't know. She thought she was doing everything right. This condition doesn't show up overnight. It builds quietly. And when the pressure inside your skull increases, it can cause headaches, blurred or double vision, nausea, imbalance, even speech difficulties. If not caught early, it can permanently damage the optic nerve, leading to irreversible vision loss. Margaret was fortunate. We caught it in time. She stopped the supplement immediately and underwent spinal taps to relieve pressure. Over several months, her balance improved and the headaches faded, but her vision never fully recovered. She told me through tears, "I just wanted to take care of my body. I had no idea I could be hurting my brain." That's what makes this so heartbreaking. It's not recklessness. It's trust. Trust in a label. Trust in a promise. And it's happening to thousands of seniors across the country. If you're taking any eye health, skin support, or anti-aging supplement, please go check the label. Look at the amount of vitamin A it contains. Even if you don't feel anything now, that vitamin can accumulate silently over time. You might not notice the damage for months or even years until one day you wake up with vision changes, balance issues, or worse. It's a scary thought, but one worth considering. The very vitamin you're taking to protect your vision might, if overused, take it away. And if that isn't unsettling enough, there's another vitamin often praised as heart healthy that when taken in high doses can spike your blood pressure, cause intense flushing, and even lead to a mini stroke before breakfast? Yes, I'm talking about niacin. And what you're about to learn next could be just as important. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's keep going with point number 5. 5. Niacin, vitamin B3, the heart-healthy vitamin that can secretly spike your blood pressure and trigger a stroke. For many older adults, cholesterol management has been a lifelong journey. We've all heard the warnings: heart disease, clogged arteries, high LDL levels. So when a vitamin shows up on the shelf marketed as doctor-recommended, natural, and heart healthy, it's easy to think, why not? It's just a vitamin. It can't hurt, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth. When taken in high dose, especially without medical oversight, niacin, also known as vitamin B3, can do more than upset your stomach. It can cause unpredictable spikes in blood pressure, throw off your heart rhythm, and in some cases even trigger a mini stroke before you've had your morning coffee. I'll never forget one of my patients, George Levinson, a 79-year-old retired electrician from Arizona. George was proud of the life he'd built, stayed active, volunteered at his church, and read every nutrition label like it was fine print on a contract. He had one goal after retirement: manage his cholesterol naturally without relying on statins. So when he came across a supplement online claiming to support cholesterol, energy, and circulation with 1,000 milligrams of niacin per capsule, he thought it sounded like the perfect fit. He took one capsule twice a day, every day, for nearly a year. In the beginning, the only side effect he noticed was facial flushing. His ears would feel warm. His cheeks would glow. He chuckled about it, called it his niacin blush. But over time, things changed. He started waking up with a racing heartbeat, felt lightheaded every time he stood up. Once, while trimming his rose bushes, he nearly fainted. The real scare came one morning while reading the newspaper. His speech suddenly slurred for about a minute, and one of his hands felt numb. It passed quickly, and he almost ignored it. But when it happened again during breakfast a few days later, his wife insisted they see a doctor. George had experienced a transient ischemic attack, a mini stroke. While he had no major blockages, his blood pressure was fluctuating wildly, particularly in the early morning hours. After reviewing everything, the likely cause became clear: the niacin supplement. At 2,000 milligrams per day, George was taking over 60 times the recommended amount for most older adults. Here's what happens inside your body when that much niacin floods your system. First, blood vessels expand rapidly, causing the flushing sensation. But shortly afterward, they rebound, tightening and constricting. This back and forth causes sharp swings in blood pressure that put serious stress on your heart and brain. And for seniors who may already have sensitive blood vessels or take medications that affect circulation, that instability can become dangerous. What makes niacin especially risky is how unpredictable it can be. Some people take it for years with only minor effects until one day they don't. Factors like age, hydration, medication interactions, and even whether you take it in the morning or at night can change how your body reacts. Even flush-free or extended release niacin products that seem gentler aren't necessarily safer. In fact, extended release forms have been linked to liver damage. And the no-flush types? They often don't lower cholesterol at all, but still pose risks, especially when combined with blood pressure medications or other supplements. George told me something that stuck with me. "Doc, I thought I was doing everything right. I didn't know I was putting my brain on the line." He's doing better now. He stopped taking the supplement, and with time, his blood pressure stabilized, but he still walks with a slight shuffle. He takes more breaks than he used to. And while he's grateful the damage wasn't worse, he'll be the first to say the price he paid wasn't worth the promise on the bottle. So, if you're taking any supplement for your heart, especially one that lists niacin or vitamin B3 in high amounts, please read the label. If it contains more than 50 milligrams per serving, don't try to figure it out on your own. Talk to your doctor. Just because something is sold over the counter doesn't mean it's safe for especially not those of us in our 60s, 70s, or beyond. And if niacin marketed as heart healthy can backfire so dangerously, what about vitamins that actually interfere with blood clotting? Ones that are hidden in multivitamins or even in your salad and quietly undo the effects of medications like warfarin? You may be surprised to learn just how easily vitamin K can set the stage for a stroke without a single warning sign. Let's take a closer look. 6. Vitamin K, the invisible interfere that can quietly cancel out your blood thinners and set the stage for a stroke. When we think about vitamins, we tend to imagine something gentle, safe, even helpful, something that supports our health quietly in the background. And vitamin K, it barely gets a mention. It's not promoted in flashy commercials or splashed across wellness blogs. You won't find it in glowing energy drinks or memory-boosting formulas. Most of the time, it's just sitting quietly in your multivitamin or tucked into your leafy greens at dinner. But for older adults especially, those over 60 who are on blood thinners like warfarin, Coumadin, or even a daily aspirin, vitamin K can quietly become a dangerous disruptor, working against your medication without you even realizing it. And by the time the warning signs appear, it's often too late. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Margaret Delaney. Margaret was 86, a retired English professor from Maine. She had a calm, steady rhythm to life morning tea on the porch, a book always in her lap, and a strict routine of walking to the post office each day. She had atrial fibrillation, a common heart rhythm condition in seniors, and her doctor had prescribed warfarin to prevent blood clots. Her INR levels, the number we use to track how thin or thick your blood ice were, consistently stable for years. Until suddenly, they weren't. Margaret came to my office after a minor stroke. Her speech had become jumbled for half an hour. She'd struggled to finish her crossword. She had a splitting headache. The hospital ran all the right scans. No bleeding, no massive clot, but her labs told a different story. Her blood was clotting too fast. Her INR had dropped far below the target range, making her more vulnerable to clot formation. We started digging. Had she missed a dose of her medication? Started a new one? Nothing seemed out of place until we looked at her supplements and diet. A few months earlier, she had switched to a premium multivitamin marketed for women over 80. It contained 120 micrograms of vitamin K per serving. And after reading about superfoods for brain health, she had added more spinach, kale, and green smoothies to her meals. She thought she was making smart, healthy choices. But those choices tipped the balance. You see, vitamin K's job is to help your blood clot. That's critical when you get a cut or injury. But when you're taking blood thinners to prevent dangerous clots, suddenly increasing your vitamin K intake can act like an antidote to the medication, canceling out the protection you rely on. It's like a tug of war inside your bloodstream. One side trying to thin the blood, the other side trying to thicken it. And your brain? It's stuck in the middle. This isn't just a technical lab issue, it's life or death. If your blood becomes too thick, even temporarily, a clot can sneak into one of the small vessels in your brain and block oxygen. The result? Memory loss, trouble speaking, loss of balance, a stroke that changes your life in an instant. Here's the truth. Seniors on blood thinners don't need to avoid vitamin K completely. That's a myth. But consistency is everything. Sudden changes, from switching your vitamin brand to adding kale salads twice a week to taking a new shake or smoothie mix, can shift your INR out of range without any symptoms at all. Not until something goes terribly wrong. Thankfully, Margaret's stroke was minor. We adjusted her warfarin dose, stabilized her diet, and added some simple tracking steps to her routine. She's back to her porch and crossword puzzles. But she told me later with tears in her eyes, "I thought I was eating better. I had no idea I was canceling out the very thing keeping me safe." If you're on warfarin, Coumadin, or even a daily aspirin, please check your labels. Look for vitamin K1 or phylloquinone on your multivitamin. Even small numbers matter. And if you've changed your diet, added leafy greens, or started taking any new supplements, bring that up with your doctor. It's not overreacting, it's life-saving awareness. Because in stroke prevention, stability is everything. And the smallest vitamin, when misunderstood, can tip the scales. And if that gave you pause, let me ask this. What if there was a vitamin found in your cereal box or energy pills that could mimic the early signs of Alzheimer's and silently cover up a deficiency that's damaging your brain day by day? Yes, I'm talking about folic acid, and what you're about to hear next may surprise you. If you've made it this far and these insights are helping you, please comment number 1 below so I know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 7. 7. Folic acid, vitamin B9, the memory vitamin that can hide brain-damaging deficiencies. For many older adults, the fear of memory, loss forgetting faces, familiar places, or even the names of their grandchildren looms larger than almost any other health worry. That's why memory support supplements have exploded in popularity, lining the shelves of pharmacies and wellness stores across the country. One of the most common ingredients you'll see on these labels is folic acid, also known as vitamin B9. It's often marketed for sharper thinking, stronger energy, and better brain protection. But here's what most seniors are never told. When taken in high amounts, especially without checking your B12 levels, first folic acid can mask a silent deficiency that mimics dementia and quietly damages your brain and nervous system. I'll never forget Irene, a 73-year-old former librarian from Iowa. She was the kind of woman who loved trivia nights, never missed a Sunday crossword, and could quote entire chapters from her favorite novels. But over time, her children noticed something was off. She told the same stories twice, lost track of appointments, and struggled to find words she'd used her whole life. Fearing the onset of Alzheimer's, she took action. A supplement she found online claimed to unlock clarity and fuel focus. The key ingredient? Folic acid, 800 micrograms per tablet. Irene, desperate to hold on to her mind, doubled the dose. By the time she reached my office, Irene was starting to confuse names of relatives. Her balance was off. She couldn't follow the plots of books she'd once devoured. What we discovered in her lab work was both heartbreaking and revealing. Her vitamin B12 was critically low. And that folic acid she'd been taking? It was hiding the very warning signs we needed to see. Here's what many seniors don't realize. Folic acid and B12 work in tandem. They both support blood and nerve function. But if you take too much folic acid while running low on B12, it can create a dangerous illusion. Your blood tests may look normal, but your nervous system is quietly deteriorating. And for older adults, B12 absorption naturally declines with age. Add in common medications like metformin or proton pump inhibitors for heartburn, and the risk gets even higher. In Irene's case, her brain fog wasn't Alzheimer's. It was B12 deficiency, masked by a well-meaning supplement. We stopped the folic acid, started B12 injections, and began her on a brain rehabilitation plan. She's improving. Her energy is better, her balance is safer, and her memory is slowly coming back. But she still tells me, I wish I'd known. I thought I was doing something right for my brain. So if you're over 60 and taking folic acid, whether in a memory supplement or multivitamin, make sure your doctor regularly checks your B12. And not just the basic level. Ask for methylmalonic acid or homocysteine testing to see how your body is really processing it. And remember, folic acid is already added to many fortified foods in the U.S. cereal, bread, even some snack bar, so it's easy to get more than you need without realizing it. And just because memory loss feels like aging doesn't mean it always is. Sometimes it's a deficiency that can be caught and reversed if you act in time. But while folic acid can quietly mimic brain decline, there's another vitamin that doesn't wait. It hits fast, with kidney pain, heart strain, and sharp consequences. It's in those fizzy powders people take to boost their immune system. Let's talk about vitamin K and what you need to know before you drop another tablet into your water glass. 8. Vitamin C. the immune booster that can quietly harm your kidneys and spike your blood pressure. For years, vitamin C has held the title of the go-to immune booster. Take it at the first sign of a cold, they say. Double your dose during flu season. And many older adults do just that. From fizzy drink mixes to chewable tablets labeled immune defense or extra strength, it feels like a harmless habit. After all, it's just vitamin. What could possibly go wrong? But here's the truth few talk about. Especially after age 60, too much vitamin C can quietly do more harm than good. High doses, when taken daily and without supervision, have been linked to kidney strain, swings in blood pressure, and vascular inflammation, of which raise the risk of stroke or heart problems. Let me tell you about Mr. Eugene Rayburn, a 77-year-old retired construction supervisor from Idaho. Eugene had always prided himself on staying ahead of his health. He was active, strong-willed, and the kind of man who believed that discipline and a few good habits could go a long way. Every morning, without fail, he dropped one of those popular fizzy immune packets into a tall glass of water. He liked the tangy flavor, and since each one had 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, he figured it was just extra protection. Some days, when he felt a little run down, he took 2. But after a few months, Eugene began to notice something wasn't right. He had nagging lower back pain that wouldn't go away. He started waking up multiple times a night to use the bathroom. And despite his efforts to stay fit, he felt more tired than usual. His blood pressure readings at home were all over the place, high one day, low the next. When he came into my clinic, we ran some tests. His kidney function was on the edge of abnormal, and there were early signs of oxalate crystal buildup, common byproduct of excess vitamin C. These crystals can accumulate in the kidneys and cause stones or even chronic damage over time. It turned out Eugene had been taking 10 to 20 times the recommended daily amount of vitamin K every single day for almost a year. Here's what most people don't know. The daily recommended amount of vitamin C for seniors is just 75 to 90 milligrams. That's it. While it's true that vitamin C is water-soluble and excess amounts are generally flushed out in urine, when taken in high doses for long periods, it overwhelms the kidneys, especially in older adults whose renal function is already slowing down. But that's not the only risk. High vitamin C levels also increase iron absorption in the body. While that might sound helpful, for older adults, especially men, and postmenopausal women, it can lead to iron overload, a condition that damages the heart, liver, and brain if left unchecked. It's a cascade effect that starts quietly and ends painfully. Eugene's recovery took time. He stopped all vitamin C supplements, switched to a kidney-conscious diet, and began working with a nephrologist. The fatigue eventually lifted, and the kidney strain improved, but he still looks back with disbelief. He once said to me, "I thought I was staying strong. I didn't know I was pouring fuel on a fire inside my own body." And that's the danger of high-dose vitamin C. The signs: fatigue, mild pain, erratic blood pressure can be so subtle you hardly notice them. But inside, your kidneys and blood vessels might be under real stress. And if you also have diabetes, high blood pressure, or other chronic issues, that strain becomes even more dangerous. So, what's the right move? Get your vitamin C from real food, citrus fruits, strawberries, bell peppers, leafy greens. Your body recognizes it, uses what it needs, and nothing goes to waste. Unless your doctor recommends a supplement for a specific reason, steer clear of mega doses or those daily fizzy packets. They're not helping your immune system the way you think, and they could be quietly causing harm. And if you think this is the end of vitamin risks, it's not. Because next, we'll look at one of the most common supplements seniors take to relax or sleep better. It's labeled as calming, natural, even essential. But when taken in the wrong dose, it can cause dangerous drops in blood pressure, leading to dizziness, fainting, and life-altering falls. Let's talk about magnesium and why even a good thing can become risky after 60. 9. Magnesium, the relaxation mineral that can quietly drop your blood pressure and put you at risk for dangerous falls. As we grow older, we all begin to notice subtle shifts in how our body feels. Sleep gets lighter, tension lingers longer, and getting out of bed in the morning can come with stiffness we never used to think twice about. It's no wonder so many older adults turn to magnesium, the so-called relaxation mineral. It's everywhere these days, in sleep powders, nighttime teas, muscle cramp remedies, and supplements labeled for calm, regularity, or rest. But what if the very thing you're taking to feel more at ease is quietly setting you up for a fall that could change your life? What if it's dropping your blood pressure so low that one wrong step leaves you injured or worse? That's exactly what happened to one of my former patients, George McAllister, an 83-year-old retired school principal from Colorado. George lived alone in a quiet mountain town and took pride in his independence. He was sharp, organized, and still tended his own garden. His only condition? Mild high blood pressure, which he managed carefully with a low-dose prescription. When winter came, George started having more trouble falling asleep. A friend at church recommended a magnesium powder, something labeled Natural Calm Sleep Blend. The instructions said to take a scoop before bed, so George did just that. And since he was a bigger man, he figured a scoop and a half would do even better. That small change nearly ended his independence. One morning, George got up around 5 a.m. to use the bathroom. The next thing he remembered was waking up on the floor, his head aching, his nose bleeding, and the toilet paper stand knocked over beside him. He'd fainted hard. At the hospital, we ran tests. There was no stroke, no heart event. But his blood pressure had fallen to 82/48, a dangerously low reading. And when we reviewed his routine, the puzzle pieces came together. That nightly magnesium powder? Each scoop contained 400 milligrams of magnesium citrate. George was taking nearly 600 milligrams a night on top of what he was already getting from his diet. And combined with his blood pressure medication, it was too much. His blood vessels relaxed too far, his pressure dropped too fast, and down he went. Here's what many people don't realize. While magnesium is essential, your muscles and nerves depend on it too much can cause real harm. Especially in older adults whose metabolism slows, who may be slightly dehydrated, or who are already taking medications that lower blood pressure. The recommended daily amount for older men is just 420 milligrams, and for women, 320 milligrams. That includes food sources like leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and grains. But many supplements marketed for calming or sleep easily exceed those limits. The danger is subtle. You might feel a little dizzy when standing. Maybe your vision blurs for a second. You brush it off. But inside, your circulatory system could be struggling to maintain proper flow to your brain. For someone over 60, a sudden drop in blood pressure isn't just unpleasant, it's potentially devastating. George recovered, thankfully. No brain bleed, no broken bones. But the experience shook him. He told me, "I thought I was just taking something gentle to help me sleep. I didn't realize I was setting a trap for myself." He now uses a cane in the mornings just in case and reads every supplement labeled twice. And that's the point. Magnesium isn't evil, but too much, or taking it without considering what else you're already using, especially medications, can be risky. If you're over 60 and using magnesium supplements, here's what I recommend. Know your dose, include what you get from your diet, and talk to your doctor if you're also on heart, blood pressure, or diuretic medications. Avoid using high-dose magnesium late at night unless it's prescribed. That's when your blood pressure naturally dips and your body becomes most vulnerable to imbalance. So now that you've seen how 9 common vitamin zones marketed as safe, essential, even healthy can quietly backfire, you might be wondering, what should you actually do instead? If pills and powders can mislead even the most health-conscious seniors, how can you support your heart, your brain, and your mobility safely without guessing? Let's take a step forward together and talk about what really works based on how your body changes after 60 and what it's truly asking for now. The answer might surprise you. Sir, so what should seniors do instead? After learning how 9 seemingly harmless vitamins can quietly increase your risk of stroke, nerve damage, or sudden falls, it's only natural to ask, then what can I safely do to protect my brain and body? I hear this question every week from older patients, people who've tried to do the right thing, who read the labels, take their vitamins, and still don't feel like themselves. They're overwhelmed, frustrated, and in some cases, even afraid to take anything at all. The truth is, after age 60, your body doesn't need more pills. It needs more wisdom. It doesn't want mega doses, it wants balance. It doesn't need quick fixes, it needs rhythm. And above all, it thrives on real, simple nourishment. Whole foods, restful sleep, hydration, and gentle movement. Not pills promising miracles, not powders you can't pronounce. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Irene Methusa, 75-year-old former librarian from Oregon. She walked into my office carrying a large plastic organizer full of pills. Morning, afternoon, evening, vitamin C for immunity, vitamin E for her heart, B complex for her nerves, something for her joints, something for sleep, a daily multivitamin, and a powdered mix her neighbor swore by. "Doc," she said, "I'm doing everything they say to do, but I'm tired. I wake up groggy. My knees hurt. I'm not steady on my feet. What's wrong with me?" And I gently told her what no one else had. "Irene, you're not missing anything. You're doing too much." We began what I call a wellness reset. Over the next few months, we removed every supplement that wasn't medically necessary. We stripped her routine down to the basics and focused on rebuilding her energy from the ground up. No trendy health hacks, no expensive pills. Just real food, steady sleep, hydration, and movement that felt good in her body. Her mornings became simple. Oatmeal with walnuts and blueberries, a boiled egg, and a mug of warm water with lemon. Lunches were salads with olive oil, grilled chicken, or lentils. She began taking short walks after dinner, even if it was just to the end of the driveway. In the mornings, she'd stretch while brushing her teeth, slow, consistent movements. Within weeks, she looked brighter. Her balance returned. She said, "I don't feel younger. I feel clearer. I feel steady." That's the power of simplicity. You don't need to overwhelm your body with extras. It already knows how to thrive. Your brain doesn't need a mega dose of anything. It needs regular fuel, healthy blood flow, and low inflammation, all of which can come from everyday foods your grandparents cooked. Leafy greens like kale and spinach, berries, wild-caught fish, beans, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. Hydration, too, is a forgotten hero. Many older adults are mildly dehydrated every single day and don't know it. Drinking 6-8 glasses of water daily can improve mental clarity, joint flexibility, and help regulate blood pressure without a single pill. And movement? It doesn't need to be dramatic. The goal isn't to become younger, it's to stay vital. Sweep the porch, tend your tomatoes, dance in the kitchen. It's not intensity that preserves health after 60, it's momentum. Now, are there situations where supplements are needed? Absolutely. Vitamin B12, for instance, if your levels are low. Vitamin D3, if you get little sunlight. Omega-3s, if your cardiovascular health requires it. But these should be targeted tools, not automatic habits born from fear or marketing. Because often the issue isn't that your body lacks something, it's that it's overloaded. Too many pills, too many additives, too little space to function naturally. So, if your cabinet is filled with bottles and you still don't feel well, ask yourself, what am I doing out of fear, not out of need? Less can be more. Simpler can be smarter. You're not broken, you're just buried under noise your body doesn't recognize. Now, with that in mind, you might be wondering, if supplements can backfire and food can heal, then what should I be eating to truly protect my brain from stroke, aging, and memory loss? What are the daily habits that support a sharp, steady mind without relying on another capsule? That's exactly what we'll talk about next. And the answer? It's not complicated. In fact, it's beautifully simple and more powerful than any pill on your shelf. Awareness, not fear, is your greatest medicine. If you've stayed with me this far, then you've already grasped something truly important. The vitamins and supplements so many of us take with good intentions may not be as harmless as we've been led to believe. Especially after 60, when our bodies change, our medications increase, and our systems become more sensitive, even something labeled as natural or heart healthy can quietly cause harm. But this message isn't here to scare you, it's here to give you clarity and control. You've now learned about 9 vitamins: D, E, B, 6, A, niacin, K, folic acid, C, and magnesium. They're all common. You'll find them in grocery store aisles, television commercials, and multivitamin packs made just for seniors. And yet, when taken in the wrong amounts, or mixed with certain medications or health conditions, they can raise your risk of stroke, nerve damage, kidney issues, blood pressure swings, and even memory loss that mimics dementia. I've seen it in real life. Not rare horror stories, but real people, thoughtful people. People like Gerald, a 77-year-old retired engineer from Colorado who kept meticulous track of his vitamins, thinking he was doing everything right. He wasn't reckless, just underinformed. That's the heart of it. Most older adults aren't making bad decisions. They're making incomplete ones. And the answer isn't to throw everything away. It's to pause, step back, and ask, what does my body actually need? Because at 65, 75, or 85, your body doesn't process vitamins like it used to. Small excesses can tip your balance. And something that felt fine 10 years ago might not be safe now. That's why every supplement you take should be based on lab results, not promises on a label. On your doctor's guidance, not an ad in the mail. But here's the hopeful part. Your health isn't built by supplements. It's built by the basics. Eat real food, hydrate, walk every day, even if just around the block. Stretch your body, challenge your mind, connect with others. Prioritize foods your body recognizes: leafy greens, wild fish, berries, nuts. Focus less on powders and more on presence. And if you're wondering what a truly brain-healthy day looks like for someone your age, from breakfast to bedtime, let's talk about that next. Because your next meal, your next walk, your next decision, that's where the power is. You're not too old to take control. In fact, there's never been a better time. These lessons are meant to help you live fully, honestly, and wisely. If this video helped you, take a moment and comment 1 below. If not, feel free to write 0. Either way, your feedback matters more than you know. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and here's to living life on your terms.